Thank you. Thank you. All right, hold your applause. No, I'm joking. Hey, everybody, how are you doing? This is going to be an interactive workshop, so if you're asleep, wake up. If you're not, it's okay. So if look at your little card there on the back of your ticket, and somebody read core value number 2 out loud for me. Read that louder, Anne-Marie. Humility is not an option. If anyone is embodying that statement more than me at this conference right now, I want to meet them. So we are all about Christian Worldview Film Festival and its core values. So my name is Brannon Hollingsworth, and I'm the Chief Creative Officer and Chief Operations Officer at Brandy Pixel Productions, and this is my business partner and our CEO, whom I'll let introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Michael Thoenes. I'm the technical person on this mission, and I've had my first technical glitch. So if I seem unresponsive, it is a technical issue.
All right. So what I would love to do is what we do at Brandy Pixel, and we start everything with prayer. So I would love it if you guys would join me in a little bit of prayer. So, High King of Heaven, we just come before you this afternoon, thanking you so much for this beautiful day that you've made, for this amazing event that you have orchestrated and you have provided for us. Thank you and praise you for everyone who is here and everyone who is at this festival, Father. I pray that you continue to remain sovereign. Father, you are the Lord of all electrons, and you are intricately involved in everything in this universe. And I pray that you let the electrons flow smoothly throughout this presentation, but that mostly that we just get to have fun and learn about great ways that we can glorify you. We do it all for you, Jesus, and it's in your name that we pray and ask these things. Amen. All right, everybody. So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about understanding the Unreal Engine and virtual reality today. We're going to be spending most of our time in Unreal. We will dip our toe into VR just a little bit, but what I would love to do is start off by doing what every good Christian should always do, and that is define your terms, right? Especially if you're a fan of apologists or apologetics, you always want to define your terms. So let's jump into that here. So reality, I think we should all pretty much know what reality is, but reality is everything that we can see, feel, touch, smell, and interact with, right? These are really like fancy definitions that we got off the internet, so they're all accurate and truthful, but I'm going to summarize all of them. So, and then virtual reality is then a computer-generated form of reality. So it's kind of like we're mimicking or mirroring reality inside a computer. All right, go ahead.
All right, Brandon, while you just do the definitions, can I plug you in again?
Yes, you can plug me in.
Okay, and we'll move on to the next set of definitions.
We did this earlier, but I got unplugged apparently.
I think you,
well,
we had him wander outside. That was my idea.
All right. So as he's plugging me in and resyncing me to the software, which you'll learn more about tomorrow in our 3 o'clock seminar on mocap and face cap, I'm going to continue our definition. So augmented reality is the integration of the former two. So that's where we take that virtual reality and we take real world reality and we combine those in some cool way. You can see some of the images above. Some of you who play with your cell phones, you've also seen this happen, with some new cool apps that allow you to kind of get a peek into AR or augmented reality. And then mixed reality is a blend of all of these worlds, maybe augmented, maybe virtual, maybe real. We get to kind of blend those in some way. And extended reality is really kind of cutting edge, right? So this is where we're talking about actually interacting from the real world with virtual objects. And we're beginning to step into that world now. There's a lot of high-end, very technical stuff that we can do, not we, but that can be done in the world in what's called extended reality. All right, you got me?
Almost.
All right, awesome. All right, so virtual production, and this may be something that a lot of you here are interested in. Brandy Pixel's main focus is primarily animation, and then also doing some previs and then some post-production utilizing the technologies that we have. But one of the great things about Unreal is that you can utilize it for all elements of film as well. And one of those, as you probably, if you've watched any cool movies recently in the last 10 years, is the elements of virtual production. And that's where you're actually beginning to use previs, or you're beginning to kind of see scenes inside the computer before you ever turn on the camera and before you ever go out into the field to shoot any sort of plates or any sort of raw footage. Finally, Unreal is our last definition. The Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine has been around actually for a pretty long while. Back in, I think, 1984 is when it was first released. And it was primarily used initially just for video games, and then later on for what are called real-time video games. You may, if you've ever heard of the video game Fortnite, or anyone who's liked or played Fortnite, that's probably the largest title to date that the folks at Unreal have created using this tool and released to the wild. And it was actually that video game that really inspired us to begin investigating the technology for ways we might be able to use it for animation. All right, am I good?
You're good.
All right, and then metaverse. I'm sorry, I forgot we turned this in. So this is a term you're hearing a lot about these days, and that's kind of what Facebook is doing, where they're trying to create a whole universe that exists entirely inside the computer, where you can interact, where you can trade, where you can buy and sell, and things of that nature. All right, next slide. All right, lastly, the tools we're using today. Two main tools. The first is this suit that I'm wearing. Is a Rococo motion capture suit. This is an inertial motion capture suit, so it works just like the sensors in your cell phone. So as I move my arm or as I move my body, sensors are tracking each point on my frame, which is why this thing has to be skin tight, and then translate that to the digital world, to a model or models, depending on what our needs are. The other tool we're using is the Unreal Engine, which again, is a video game tool, but it can also be used for animation and for film. Most famously was recently used in The Mandalorian by Disney. And also there's a new show called Love and Robots on Netflix that they use Unreal for an entire sequence. All right, I think it's time to go to Unreal. What do you think, Michael?
All right. I would like to calibrate you first, sir.
I get to be calibrated. You guys get to see some technical stuff. So I'm going to stand here and assume the pose. I'm getting a download from the Matrix.
Okay. Now you're being calibrated. Stand still. And calibration is a part. The system needs to have a baseline. You're ready. Let's do a test. Raise your right arm, left arm. Step backwards, step forward. Go left and right. And come back this way now. So.
All right.
So you are calibrated.
I can't see. So am I calibrated? Am I moving,
You are.
folks?
All right. Periodically, he will experience what we call drift, and he will become uncalibrated, and I will, let's see, fire up. I'll fire up the start scene, and I'm kind of giving away our secrets here, but...
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out first in the kind of Unreal. If you've seen The Matrix, they have a place where they call it the loading program. It's kind of this blank space where there really isn't anything. Unreal has something similar they call the Unreal stage. So it's this kind of blank area here, and Michael's going to drop me in, and hopefully I'll be moving around.
I am, and for some reason you stopped wandering in motion, so it all worked in rehearsal perfectly. But we're going to recalibrate you again.
Oh, we're going to recalibrate?
Yeah.
All right, get another download.
So,
I need to fly an Apache helicopter.
And I'm going to... All right, you should be calibrated. You should be moving around again. All right.
You guys tell me if I'm moving, because I can't see it behind my head. So, am I moving? I'm not there.
Oh, well, that's because, yeah, that's because of something else. Right. We're going to fire this up again. And I'm going, where are you, dude?
I don't know.
You've disappeared. Well, he's already gone through the portal, folks. He's already transitioned into another world. And I think that what I'll do is I'm just going to restart the Unreal Engine because we had to restart that other application. And
probably when I left the room to go advertise.
And that was it was my idea to have him leave the room. And as you may already see, that the websites, when you go to the websites and you look at the advertising on how this all works, they make it sound pretty simple. And I will say that you need to have some patience with the technology, because also moving to a place like this with the Wi-Fi and all the IPs and passwords and all that. But once you get it set up, if you just leave it alone, don't touch it, and don't ask your partner to go off into the other room, you'll probably be just fine. So, Brandon, what can people do with a virtual character in a virtual world?
All right, that's a great question. So You can do almost anything you can imagine if it's the right kind of suit. All right. So again, I mentioned earlier, this is an inertial-based suit, right? So it really has problems when I jump, right, or when I lift up one foot, because it relies on me being connected to the ground plane here in reality in order to translate that to 3D space. So again, understand what's going on. Every point on my body where there's a sensor, it's just math, and it's going to the computer, and that's translating it to a model, right, in virtual space. And there is no gravity in virtual space, right? There is no ground, there are no objects, you can walk through anything. And so you have to understand that unless you have the proper kind of suit, doing a flip in this suit really is going to make this guy look really bad, right? It's going to twist him all up like a pretzel. But if you have a different kind of suit, like an optical suit, right, then that's going to actually track the visual data about my body and translate that to a model in 3D space. The only problem is that suit's probably about 100 times more expensive than this suit, and we couldn't afford that. So feel free to contribute.
Well, you are.
Hey, there I am. All right.
All right.
Perfect.
You're not walking though, so one more calibration now that everything's lined up.
All
right. And 2, 1, stand still.
Standing.
Ready. Try again. Let's see if you can walk again.
Hey,
okay.
Finally, he learned how to walk.
All right. Well, let me say that right now, in addition to the real-time streaming attribute, there is a video editor inside the Unreal Game Engine. And I could show you that to you real quick, but it's not much to look at, really. Oh, actually, it's not going to show up behind there. I'll be happy to show you guys some other time. But it's just a little timeline, and I've added some objects to the timeline so we could bring in props. And so if you're trying to work out an idea for a little film, either animated or real, now listen, I know what you might do behind a bush, and we can't do that here. Okay, so you might need to consider a new car. And if you are not a fan of a brand new truck, I know you tend to like older trucks, right?
I can't get over there. It's way over there where he is. I can't get over
or if you want to go military, because you got that military.
There we go. It's right over here, right?
So
I can't see this, so y'all have to tell me if I'm doing it right.
So if you really need to get out of here, you might need a helicopter.
Yeah.
And, these assets are assets that we just downloaded for free off the Unreal Game Engine Marketplace. And there are thousands of free assets you can play with. And the ones you can purchase are actually very economical. You can also build assets in other software like Blender or Maya or Cinema 4D, and you can export them and import them in here. So you could build a set, export it in here, or you could just play with the assets that are available.
Well, let's go show them some of those. You want to bring in a portal for me? Let's get out of this world.
Bring in a portal. Okay, well, I got rocks and a tree and a police car. You better get out of here. Okay, can you...
The portal! Yay!
All right, and now we'll have to, through the magic of technology, I had to stop him so I could switch environments. And we're going to take you to a whole new world where, well, let's just say you'll be something quite different.
What's it going to be? I don't know. I really do. But let's say that.
And here we go. This is going to happen.
Yeah, it messes you up, doesn't it?
Well, let me see here.
So while Michael's fiddling with the next world and getting me through the portal, I just want to let you guys know, I wanted to say this earlier, you probably already pieced this together. We're not experts, right? All we are is about 10 steps in front of most of you, right? And that's actually a really encouraging thing because this technology is available to anyone. The Unreal Engine is free for, what's it called when it's like straight form content? What's the term? Linear
real-time content.
Yeah, linear real-time format.
Real-time content.
So it's free, right? So you can go download this for free, install on your machine if your machine will run it, and you can start doing the same kind of stuff that we're doing. We've just been monkeying around with this thing for several years, and so we're a little bit ahead of the curve. So we encourage you guys to go download it and try. And as Michael said earlier, almost every asset that you see today, I think the exception of one, is absolutely free. You can go get it right now. So, am I in the new world? Yes.
Oh, well, we're going to bring some light into this scene. He's very dark right now. I will tell you that a moment ago, I was clicking on a timeline icon rather than a level icon, and that's why it didn't work for me. So that was a USER error.
USER, yes, a user error. Yes, if you'll hold all your questions, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So write them down for sure. That's another thing I forgot to say. So, yeah. All right, so am I here? Am I a skeleton? This is my favorite world. I get to be a skeleton.
All right. I think you need to get over to that light so people can see you. Back. Yeah.
I'm on fire.
One thing you can see about the Unreal game engine is the real-time nature of it. That the lighting effects, are actual active elements in the scene. So unlike traditional computer animation where you just work in grayscale or wireframe and then render it out, technology is now where you have a fast graphics card, and this is a moderate NVIDIA RTX card, a 2090, I think. But the new machines are just way faster and make everything even more fluid. So, all right. You want some more light in the scene so we can show them some environment stuff?
Yes. My wife's looking scared over there. She doesn't like monsters.
All right,
so let's bring the light up. Let's just change the sunlight in here, Michael, if we would. One of the great things about Unreal is you can do anything you want. So let's make it daytime. How about that? Pretty cool, right? Real time, and all of a sudden, it's daytime. That's
you need to be recalibrated again, or you need to step back. I think. Look at where you are. I'm
a Jesus skeleton.
All right. Quick.
I'm a skeleton with faith.
You have a warning, and is poor data detected.
What?
Yeah. I'm gonna recalibrate. 1, 3, 2, 1.
Tell me when I'm recalibrating.
All right.
I don't want to get electrocuted.
Oh, very good. Okay, now you're back. You're back at home base. You're back on the dock.
All right, so let's fly around. Let's show them. I got some real estate to sell here. I want to show them some real estate.
All right. Well, let's get the big picture here.
Yeah.
This is an island in an ocean with ships out here, and we can look at some other properties that you have for sale here on Pirate Island. Let's see.
Buy it today or else.
So, what about this lovely little villa here?
Wouldn't you love to have this shack?
So you can see,
it's well ventilated.
From a standpoint of getting to play in virtual worlds, I mean, realize that all of these are elements I can move around and I can rearrange.
Let's go move a ship.
Let's go move a ship. How about this ship? You want me to move that out of the way? Okay, I'm going to pause you just a second so I can show that. So nothing in here is static. I mean, if I want to reposition this, I'm taking the whole world. Let me see. I'll try to get on that, reposition that ship, and I'll sink that ship in the bay.
There you go. That's what I'd be talking about. Excellent.
That's all things we can do. So, Brannon, have we spent enough time in Pirate Island, or we have some more things to see?
You have to tell me when I'm moving.
Oh, you are. Let me find you. It should be on this dock here.
You've lost your business partner. I don't know where he is.
I've lost you, and let me get back.
Well, let's go to another world. Let's go. You don't have to turn me back on.
Okay. All right.
You don't have to turn me on, baby. It's no problem.
Okay.
All right. So let's go. Where are we going next? I don't know. Where are we going? I'm excited.
Well, you might have difficulty talking on this next one.
Oh no. Sounds ominous.
All right, just a moment while the next environment loads.
Even if you're kind of playing around with an idea, right? If you got an idea for a film, this becomes a really powerful tool. You can download assets, you can move things around, you can reconfigure the towns, the cities, the buildings, the walls, whatever you want, and make something whatever you like. And so, what am I now? Do I want to turn around? Do I want to know what I am?
You know what? You were a mime looking the wrong way.
Well, I guess that's better than a mime looking the right way, right?
Wait. let me give you some light. Just I need to give you some light, my friend. How are we gonna give you light? Should we remove a wall from the scene and let some light in?
Yeah. Let's just rip a wall.
All right. Well, if you're building
like some deconstruction.
So I have a whole wall on a separate layer here. I'm sorry if I make you barf by moving around too fast in here. But we pull a whole wall off of this virtual movie set. And, just you can really think of working inside the Unreal Game Engine like location scouting or building your own virtual set.
Well, let's think about that like a virtual set. Let's think about where we're going to put our lights, right? I don't know. I've never been on a movie set, but every movie set behind the scenes I see, they got those guys with the measuring tapes, right, that are measuring stuff. Does anybody know what they're measuring? I don't know. What are they measuring? The distance for your lights, right? So what if you want to do that in the Unreal space? Can you do that, Michael?
Well, yes, the world is scale accurate. I mean, currently we are in a centimeter scale, so it's accurate to meters and centimeters. And some of these things, this is the desk, this is the floor, this is the carpet. These are various props. And if just stand still for a second, if I want to know your distance from, say, where you're at to the desk, I can pull a line, and it's 280 centimeters, so 2 meters, 80 centimeters. And I mean, if you want to set it up in feet and inches, you can do that too. So really easy to take real world dimensions. If you've imported the model and scaled it correctly, everything's real world measurable.
So what you're saying is I could go in here and build a virtual set, make sure all my measurements were exactly what I needed them to be, so I know exactly where I'm going to put my lights before I ever go out anywhere and turn on a camera. Is that what you're saying?
You could, and in fact, I'm going to show some lights in here. I have to turn you off a moment, but I have a light here, and I'm going to bring up some red light, this box light that I can import. I have other types of lights I can import, but particularly these box lights, I can adjust the shape of the light. I can adjust its barn door angle, and the color. I can adjust the color.
Pretty cool.
So a lot of things we can play around with lighting in here. And then we also have cameras, virtual cameras that we can look through in this space.
Can we see some of those?
I will.
Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. I'm not looking at the screen. So I don't know where it is.
We'll go up through here and I'll look through the camera actor, and I will re-enable you. And now I have to launch a video sequence in here to access all the camera controls, which I'll do while you're moving around. And that will be the detective's office. And I believe on this camera actor. So in here, inside the camera, I'm just looking at a little interface where I can have sliders, and I can adjust the lens down to a really wide angle, or bring it up to, well, now it's about, let's do like a 35 millimeter, or, we can put it at maybe like an 18. And then I can also adjust the focal depth. I can deal with depth of field, and I can focus the camera, so you can really compose a shot, and get an idea of what that might look like in a space. And are you no longer moving on the floor? Or are you?
I don't know. I can't see my feet. I'm in virtual reality.
Let me find your feet. You've gone into floating mode again, and
those darn minds.
Right. Floating mode means recalibrate, and and I will tell the audience that what's happening is we're just using a little portable Wi-Fi right here. It's not a real strong signal, so the further if he goes over to that side of the room, I sometimes lose momentarily his signal. Let's try again. See if you can move around.
Okay. Ready?
Can you walk now? Yes, you're walking again, but you're out of focus.
All right. So let's go to another world.
Go to another world.
I'm tired of being a mime.
Tired of being mime. Very good. Okay, I'm going to.
My wife can tell you I can't spend 5 minutes without talking.
I'm going to freeze you for a minute, and I hope in the audience you're just kind of getting a taste of all the things that are possible. There's no way we could touch on all that this tool will do and this technology will do, but
primarily because we don't know it all yet. Also, because there's a ton of stuff to learn, which is great. It's really cool.
So we're going to take you to, literally a whole new world.
Yeah, that's good. You guys have to tell me when I'm there, because I can't see. Am I there?
No.
Oh, Bueller. Only the old people in the room get that. I'm sorry, the young people in the room. Excuse me.
All right. Again, this is a very dark environment, so for the audience, I'm going to bring the lighting up some. All right.
Yay. for robot. Finally. I always want
All
to be a
right,
robot.
let me turn this so they can see you here. And while we're doing this, I'm going to also bring up now a video sequence.
So you'll notice the fingers are kind of broken on this model, right? So if you want to learn more about that and what's going on there, come tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We're doing mocap and face cap in depth. It's really, really interesting. But getting these models rigged, which means putting a skeleton in them so that they do operate appropriately and correctly, is a whole science and art in and of itself. It's non-trivial. But then that's part of the challenge, that's part of the fun. So, all right, so what do we got going on here, Mike?
Well, what I do want to say is technologically, like if I'm capturing Brannon in this piece of software, which is the Rococo motion capture software, we can rehearse a scene, see in that virtual space, and then we can, just like you would in theater or in film, you could block out on the floor, you can put some props down, make sure he's walking the right way, and then I can actually record him with a record button right in here, and then send that file to Unreal as a baked out file. So I no longer need you then. So also, it's with a couple of more little programming things, a couple of more buttons clicked, I could record him in the Unreal Engine, but we have some robots with some pre-recorded action that we can also play in here, Brannon. So we're going to pretend you're on a little movie here, and there's going to be a fight scene over here in the corner. Okay, and so we've got two characters.
I want some robots fighting right over here.
We've got
the director. Bring them in here now. Where are
we've
my
got
robots?
a pink Valentine, a pink robot called Valentine, and we have. You might need to step back, actually.
Hey! Watch out! I'm the director.
Okay.
Watch out.
And these robots have some pre-recorded animation on them, so I'm just going to press the play button here on the timeline, and they're in a fight over there.
Yeah,
So
go fight! Wait, this is a Christian conference.
So
I'm real time, right? And those guys have pre-baked animations on them, right? So all this is happening at the same time. If we wanted to change these guys, like if I wanted to make one of them float in the air, we would pause me and we can make one of these guys float, right, Michael?
we could. I'll just pause it a minute, and I thought it would stop. Oh, I haven't even stopped the timeline as well. And then I will simply select one here and press the right control and move them up off the ground. And now there's a famous line from one of the Star Wars movies, and that is, Anakin, I have the high ground.
There you go.
And so
And action.
so now clearly the victor will be the pink robot.
As it should be, right? So again, you can see where you can kind of begin to imagine what you could do, right? You could bring in motion capture actors, record their stuff, and then go in and block out a scene as much as you like. And the actor doesn't have to be there. They've already done their bit. You've already got that recorded, and you can tweak it however you want. And there are even abilities in the Unreal Engine and other softwares to actually go into the actual animation and tweak the movements. So if I had a guy coming swinging in and I wanted maybe a little bit more of an up angle, I can actually go in and select that segment of the animation, and where he comes across like this, I just have him come up a little higher. So you really, as you begin to peel the layers on this onion, you really begin to imagine the wide open vistas of what you can potentially do and reuse over and over again.
So, and just to demonstrate that a little bit, these robots, they have little action clips that have been recorded, and these are just motion capture that's been recorded, and I can move them and, make things happen at different times. Just slide that action. I can also switch between different camera views, and I have a camera switcher track, which I can switch between different cameras. So it's a super fun way to, if you don't like getting out in this heat and you want to go shoot a movie, you can do it in the comfort of your gaming chair.
Well, speaking of getting out in this heat, let's go outside. Go outside?
All right, sounds good.
Let's see what the great wide open spaces in Unreal kind of look like. I'm feeling like we should maybe go to the top of the mountain after we arrive at a meadow. What do you think?
That sounds wonderful, and I will push the right button, Lord willing. And One of the things that the Unreal Engine excels at is creating these virtual exterior environments. And let me turn back on. I'm going to turn back on its game setting lighting, and let's just take a look at this. Is definitely a cartoony sort of stylized environment, but it's capable of creating photorealism now as well. So as you've seen from like the Mandalorian backgrounds and such.
My legs are messed
Oh,
up.
you know what that means? Calibration time.
You have to do this so much as motion capture guys. You're just standing around looking like this all the time.
This is not a problem. This is a problem that $10,000 can fix pretty easily. So just
But be sure and factor this time into your budgets, by the way, when you've got mocap actors on, because you're going to be doing this. So, can I move you?
Yeah.
Am I moving?
No, I just stopped you. Oh, now you're moving again. You should be walkable now.
Am I walkable now?
Yeah, go walk forward. Okay, and backwards. So sincerely though, I mean, this is important to know when you look at the software that this particular technology, it's susceptible to magnetic interference. It's susceptible to lots of metal on the floor, bad Wi-Fi, other things, and it's about a $2,500 to $3,000 piece of hardware. You go spring for the $10,000 piece of hardware, and guess what? It's much more resistant to those problems. So this is a case where I think you can accomplish a lot as long as you work within the constraints of the tool. But if you want somebody to do, run, tackle, fight scenes and capture them without a lot of cleanup, you're going to need a bigger budget.
All right.
Okay.
Are we going to the top of the mountain?
We're going to
the mountaintop moment.
Top of the mountain, and
that
set
mountain
up
there. Oh no, that one over there. Wait, where am I? That mountain over there.
All right, I'm selecting my mountaintop marker.
My wife's like, I want that technology in real life. Just pause.
Yeah, and I think I need to turn off the atmospheric fog here.
Again, something you can do with a click of a button. Pretty cool. So you guys see the clearing there in the middle of the screen? That's where we were earlier. So we've just literally jumped several thousand feet in elevation, right? And probably, I don't know, maybe 50 miles?
Well, yeah, perhaps, but I don't know, maybe.
We can measure it if we wanted to, but we're not going to. But pretty cool, right? I mean, we just jumped to the top of the mountain. How long would it take you to get your crew to the top of the mountain with a camera?
We're going to jump to this grassy knoll over here.
All right,
and,
time for assassination.
Here's a nice floral meadow. You could do The Hills Are Alive with the sound of music, but we'll actually probably need to take you back to,
no one wants to hear me sing.
To where you are so we can look at some camera setups.
Yes, let's look at some cameras. Johnny back there is going to show me cameras, boy. Show me cameras. All
right, so right now, before you move, let me just talk briefly about the cameras being there. When I hit the play button, then these cameras will disappear. But what we do have capability for in here is to put down rails or a camera on a virtual boom arm. And let me go ahead and open the video sequence that's associated with this particular scene, where I have added the camera rail and camera boom to the sequence, and the crane. Let's see, and you can see on the crane here, I can extend and shorten the crane. I can change the I can move these along the rails, and it's all keyframeable. I can say start at this particular time, run until stop at this particular time. So now what we'll do is we'll hit play, and we'll go ahead and look through some of these, like the crane, for instance. No, actually, let's do the rails first. The rail cam.
Am I real time? Yeah,
you're real time, and we'll look through the rail cam at you and go to the front of the timeline. And I'm just going to hit the play button. And now this is an animation I set up. It's start here on the rail at this time, and then move along the rail, until another time. So, even if whether it's virtual animation, creation of stories, or if you want to say, hey, I think if we set up a rail here, we set up a crane here, you have those kind of tools to play with in here as well. So if you know cameras, the lens settings and depth of field stuff, it's all very similar to real world camera stuff.
feel like it should be in a music video.
And let's switch you over to the crane.
Oh, I gotta get my All right, cool. All right, where are we going next?
Well, what we're going to do next, Brannon, is we actually have hit all of our major locations already, and we can go back to the start and talk, or we could actually just start talking here. We're at I have that we're 34 minutes in, so we still have 25 minutes till people have to leave.
Okay, awesome. So we definitely want to have a Q&A because we know you guys probably have a fair amount of questions. However, I want to kind of wrap up with a couple of things. First of all, if you're interested, before you leave, we have a mailing list sign up over here. Feel free to connect with my wife. She's this lovely lady over here in the white shirt rather, and the pink dress. You can sign up for our mailing list, get a business card, whatever you'd like. Reach out to us. Happy to connect with you. Also, I just want to give you guys a challenge, right? If you ever seen a chisel, right? Pretty simple implement, right? Pretty simple tool. And yet that was what Michelangelo used to craft David, right? This amazing statue that is just still viewed by millions all around the world every year, right? So imagine he did that for Christ, right? He did that because he wanted to show the workmanship and the craftsmanship of God. And so imagine what we can do today with a tool like this. A little bit more complicated, a little bit more sophisticated than a chisel, but imagine what we can create with a tool like this if we do it for the cause of Christ. So I challenge each of you to harness your creative gifts for God in a way and use the tools that you have that you've been afforded, especially stuff like this. Also, we'd love to kind of show you really quickly a little video of kind of what Unreal can do with other studios that are out there. They put together a little sizzle reel. You won't hear any music on this, so we'll just kind of let this play. We'll show it to you once, and then we'll let it play in the background as we do a little Q&A. So if you're interested to ask questions, we're going to have a mic for them, or they're just going to say, I'll repeat your question. All right? So we'll watch the video one time, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. That sound good to everybody?
And during the Q&A, I mean,
awesome.
if it's something that involves opening up the engine and showing something, we can do that if we have time. So this is just a little sizzle reel. They're the latest animation sizzle reel from Unreal Engine, and many studios are adopting this technology to do both virtual production and animation with many different styles, visual styles possible in here.
All right, awesome. So that'll be playing in the background. So yeah, questions. I know this young lady had a question earlier, so go ahead. We'll let you go first. That's a great question. The question was, I'm going to repeat your questions for the recording. And is it possible to live stream in real time your facial and body motion capture and distribute that out in a live stream sort of fashion? The answer is yes. Is it easy? No. But once you get it working, it's a very repeatable process. So that is actually something that we're working on. It's one of the kind of endeavors that we have going on at the moment. It's non-trivial, and it is very technical, but once you get it, it is pretty amazing to be able to do something like that. And again, it's consumer level at this point. All you really need is for facial is a really nice iPhone and some software, and then obviously a good internet connection. To that point, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we'll be doing another workshop on more in depth on the actual motion capture and also real-time face capture using an iPhone. So if you're interested, definitely.
Yes, it will be less of a tour of the Unreal Engine and more just focused on the technology of capturing face and body. And face capture has become, basic face capture has become a consumer level tool now. And so, and technically, I know that you can hook this up with various production video cards that will stream to monitors, will stream to the internet. And that's a matter of finding the tutorials at the Unreal Engine site and following the steps. So something we would like to do.
Yeah, and that Michael brings up a really good point before we take our next question. Unreal provides a tremendous amount of documentation for this tool, and it's all free. They have a massive learning site connected to their website. It's like varying levels of technical sophistication and knowledge are required, but it is a tremendous resource. And again, they don't charge anything for this. So, other questions? Yes, sir. So the question was, in Unreal, can you program motion into a character without having to have a mocap suit? The answer is yes, you absolutely can. The animation tools inside of Unreal they're getting better. They're not the greatest in the world. So what most studios do is they will use a tool like Blender or Maya, where they can program the animation by doing keyframe animation and then tweening, which is where you then let the computer do the in-betweens, and you go in and adjust those. And then you can import that animation into Unreal and then display it in the Unreal Engine. So,
yeah,
great question.
And I'll add to that too that you can set up your character that you've created or one that you've gotten from you purchased from the Unreal Store or a free character, and you can set them up as a playable game character, and then you can run them through actions and record. It's difficult to get real acting that way, but you can get action, and you can get a character that runs and turns and jumps and kicks like you would in a game. And it's a fun way to start making movies, is just record scenes, basically from a game that you're controlling, except now you get to add assets and stories into the environment that aren't maybe in a game you might purchase.
Yeah, and another point, a lot of these assets that you can get for free on the Unreal Engine marketplace, or that you can purchase. You can go purchase assets. A lot of the character assets come with pre-baked animations for them that you can apply to them. And once you have those animations, you can apply them to any character that has the same skeleton. So you could buy it for, say, Crunch, which is one of the video game characters we're using today, but you could use that same jump animation on another character that you built, and that's perfectly fine. So, other questions? Yes. That's a great question. What kind of computer does it take to run the program, Mr. Michael?
Yes, an excellent question. We are running this on a iCore 7 laptop with a 2080 NVIDIA graphics card. This at this particular point, with the release of the Unreal Engine 5, which is another leap forward in tech, and we're actually showing you Unreal 4.27, I think. The reason we're showing a slightly older version is because assets are still being updated to the new version. But I would recommend, the highest end computer you can afford if you really don't want to be encumbered by things slowing down. So this is if you keep your scenes minimal, and you guys may know we're the guys that make the show Cubekins. It's a little kids cartoon. And we purposely chose an environment that was low in polygon density. Not a lot of geometry in it. The houses are boxy, the characters are boxy. That was just so that we could run the machine at its fastest speed possible, because we weren't loading it with, for instance, 10,000 trees. The more data you put on screen, the more load it is on the computer. As good as the software is, it always works better with more power. But yeah, this spec is a 2.5, 3-year-old laptop, and we're able to produce content on it.
All right, other questions? Yes. How do you go about finding programmers? Are you talking about game programmers for the Unreal game element, or are you talking about like animators for animation or film? Either way was the response. So there are lots of great resources. One of them, I would say, is ArtStation. It's a really good resource that's out there. And there's a blanket caveat here that when you're exploring the internet, there be dragons. So viewer beware. So ArtStation is a great one. Also, we found Twitter, ironically, is a great place to connect with lots of great programmers and animators. They're not always believers, so understand that. You may be dealing with folks that have a different worldview than you, but we view that as an opportunity to actually minister to them. And we get the opportunity to work with them in a way that Christians should. And many of them are like, wow, why did you pay me on time? Nobody ever does that. It's like, well, because we work for Jesus and you work for us, and Jesus pays us on time. So Twitter is a great resource. ArtStation is a great resource. And then I would say conferences like this is a really good opportunity to connect with folks that are in the industry. And we're building a database, so if you need referrals as well, let us know. We've got a pretty large database of folks that we've already vetted as well. So you can always reach out to us too.
I can add a few things to that.
Sure.
And we're operating as an indie studio, so we're trying to vet artists online, find out what they can do, and then reaching out to them or commenting on their work and building relationships. And if you really, if you have budget and need to staff up, then there are dedicated sites like creativeheads.net. And you could contact us and I'll give you all the information I have. There are animation industry and game industry specific job recruiting sites where people are posting resumes. And probably more people go to those than say just like the Indeed.coms or Monsters, because it's a very special field. I would also say that joining some of the groups on LinkedIn or Twitter, finding Twitter, do they have groups on Twitter like different? No, well,
they do on Facebook.
But there are dedicated sites to post ads or to hunt for talent. And there are also vetted talent services where you pay a monthly fee it's like a job agency for creative artists. So more than happy to share the details with you if you want to know.
All right, other questions? Yeah, go ahead. The question was, does Brandy Pixel have a motion capture shoot that allows for jumps and flips and things of that nature? Sadly, at this point, no, we do not. We have two motion capture shoots. They're both like this one. They're inertial-based Rococo suits. However, we do have a great partner and brother in Christ out in New Mexico that is currently standing up. Will hopefully be the United States' largest optical motion capture studio that exists today. And he's a great friend and has said, hey, anytime you guys want to do something, let me know. So we have access to one, but we don't own one.
So one thing that the makers of this suit are advertising right now is they're putting out their next generation suit, which does have stair climbing and other capabilities. And then there's a company called XSENS, XSENS, which makes a suit which they show people doing parkour in. That suit's about $10,000 with about a $2,000 to $3,000 a year subscription. It's very difficult as an indie studio on one project to kind of warrant that sort of expense. And then you can go to like an optical motion capture studio where you can just lease time and have trained people on hand. A lot of pre-planning, figure out what you want, and then they can knock it out for you and give you the data.
And we'll talk a little bit more about those setups tomorrow in our other workshop. So there was a question in the back. You got it. Yeah, so the question was, and I'll summarize, but from a lighting standpoint, are there things that we're seeing that are important to know or begin to understand or grapple with in terms of utilizing lighting in a hybrid sort of scenario. So virtual productions, first of all, are a whole different beast, like the volume, right? That you maybe if you watch The Mandalorian or some of the behind the scenes of The Mandalorian, that's a world-class digital real-time stage that they've set up there. I would definitely encourage anyone who's looking to work in that kind of hybrid space, especially with lighting, to begin learning these tools. Not just Unreal, but also Unity is another tool. Unity is primarily used for video games as well, but there are some animation applications that are out there. So get spun up on those tools. They're very, very powerful. And again, they are powerful in a real-time sense. Just as you stated, you could literally, you don't have to wait for the golden hour. You could set up the golden hour, shoot as much as you need to, get as much coverage as you require, and then you can immediately change the same scene to a starlit night or the first break of dawn, and also bringing in virtual lights as needed. I mean, you have really no limits in terms of what you can potentially do, and that is one of the true powers of what the software allows you to, and software like this allows you to do.
Can I jump in on that too? And
sure.
And I will say that we do know a brother in Christ that was at a film studio down in Orlando who has a virtual space in Louisiana, and of course there are going to be other vendors that have virtual spaces. Setting one up, requires a giant rear projection screens or giant LED screens. But I think what's super important for this industry is, if you learn the tool but you don't know anything about filmmaking or lighting, then you also have to learn all that or hire people that know that. If you know lighting, then working with people or learning enough about the tool, you're way ahead, because you would know, that you don't want to set your light intensities in the screen, because the screen's radiating light. You could put a sky above. I've seen setups with, like, they have screens on the ceiling so they can emit, skylight. Then they do have, it's like a 180 set, so they do have lights that are set up to fill from the front. So yeah, it's a really fascinating new field that allows people to create these outdoor worlds indoors.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll check our time. How are we doing on time? We've got 10 minutes. Okay, great. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Go ahead. That's a great question. So the question was in terms of hardware and working with, is it Unreal specifically? Okay, any of the tools? Right. Do you need to commit to a Windows platform to have these tools? Do you want to answer that? I would say it depends on the version.
Have you had success running any Unreal on your Macintosh?
So I'm a Mac guy primarily. He's a PC guy, and the answer is I think it depends on the version of the tool that you're using. Specifically, Unreal, the newest version of Unreal 5, there is not a Mac capable version of it, but it was just released a couple months ago. However, the older versions of Unreal work fine on both platforms. So I would say, if you're talking about specifically Unreal, I don't know about Unity. I think it works on either as well, and Rococo it works on both Mac and PC. Right?
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely would be worthwhile, checking the specs on everything and making sure that you're going to, meet your goals there. So we understand your pain, though. We are a hybrid studio, and
yeah, and I would say, from our experience, it tends to run better on PC than Mac. There's just something about the way the code works and with a Intel chip as opposed to whatever Mac's got. So.
And I do think it had something to do with these real-time graphics cards and Apple's progression versus the NVIDIA cards for the PC.
Yep. All right. Other questions? Yes, sir. Sure. Okay. You want to answer that one?
I will. This suit retails for $2,400, I think. It came from the Netherlands. I will tell you that I got a nasty letter from the customs service later saying I owed them $130. And I just got a letter 2 years later from the state of Alabama saying I didn't pay my sales tax on this suit I ordered from the Netherlands. So whatever you think it's going to cost, add $300 or $400 in various customs and tax fees. And so
Or
yeah,
you
so
can get this one today for $23.99.
We did actually find a second suit
On Facebook.
on was it Facebook
Marketplace.
Marketplace, and I think we paid $799 for that. Somebody had kind of said I used it twice and gave up. So the software has a free level, which does allow you to capture in the software and export. But if you want to do this streaming to another piece of software, it's like $30 a month or $60 a month. And then their face capture solution is like $60 a month. But the good thing for us is you can get a discount for the year, but you can use it monthly and then turn it off if you don't have a production going, and then try to be really frugal, good stewards of the Lord's dollars.
Great question. Other questions? Probably got about 5 minutes. Anyone else? All right. Well, we've answered all your questions then, right? Everybody's an expert on Unreal, so you're ready to go make amazing movies for Jesus, right? Awesome.
All
Well,
right.
thank you so much for your time. Do you have something else you want to say?
Yeah, I want you to see if you run off this cliff.
Well, if I had $1 for every time I heard that from my partner,
I'm going to recalibrate you
I'm
as sort of
not going to run off the cliff.
a closing thing. I'm recalibrating you, so you better stay still. Actually, why don't you get in a weird position for recalibration? Okay. All right. Now walk that way.
I'm supposed to move?
You're not going to make it.
My leg. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you want to see more, come back at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you so much. You guys be blessed.